In this video, I'm going to be guiding you through Chapter 26, Inflation. The definition of inflation is the sustained general increase in the average price level of goods and services across the entire economy over a specific period of time. Simply put, this is when prices increase for everyone. And deflation is the sustained and general decrease in the average price level across the entire economy. This is the inverse. Prices will get cheaper for everyone. And how we measure inflation is through the use of CPI, the Consumer Price Index. This essentially takes the total cost of a quote-unquote basket of goods, and this comprises of hundreds of the most common items that people buy in the economy. Then they compare the average price of that particular basket of goods in 1 year, and then they compare the exact same basket of goods in the following year. And if that basket of goods increased by 5% year on year, that means the CPI has increased by 5%. So what are the types of inflations? First of all, we have demand pull inflation. This is when there is more things demanded in the economy than supplied. As millions of consumers are competing to buy a highly limited number of products, businesses will raise their prices to maximize their profits, which causes inflation. The other is cost push inflation. This happens when businesses face a rapid increase in production costs. This could be more expensive raw materials or higher labor costs, and businesses will be forced to pass these higher operating costs to the consumers by charging them more. In this section, we look at the relationship between inflation and interest rates, and then the impact of inflation. In the case for inflation and interest rates, the central bank can set a very high interest rate, which can successfully cool an economy down when it is suffering from very high inflation. I will try and simply explain the mechanics of this, but more on this on the chapter on monetary policy. Interest rates will make borrowing significantly more expensive, so consumers will borrow less money to spend on goods and services, and at the same time, firms or businesses will invest less on capital goods and capital expansion, as consumption and investment are both components of aggregate demand and economic growth. Excessive growth, which causes inflation, will go down. Now moving on to the impacts of inflation. The first impact is higher prices. This is because inflation destroys the real value of money. This means that consumers can buy significantly fewer goods with the same amount of money that they have. This is the reason why employees are constantly demanding higher wages every year. And if they don't get their increase in wages, the value of their money will decrease by the rate of inflation. And if they don't get their increase in pay, this causes a nationwide industrial dispute as trade unions will aggressively strike until the employees get their higher pay. And in the case for export, because inflation increases the price of all goods and services domestically, their goods and services will be comparatively more expensive on the competitive international market. This causes foreign buyers to switch to cheaper alternatives in other countries, which drastically reduces the country's export revenues and international competitiveness. And in the case for unemployment, high inflation rates creates economic uncertainty, which causes firms to delay investments such as multi-million-dollar expansion projects. The drop in business investment will stunt economic growth and will force firms to lay off workers, which increases the level of unemployment. In the case for menu costs, businesses will have to constantly reprint and update their price lists, menus, and digital barcode systems to perfectly reflect the newly inflated prices. As they repeat this process over and over again, this wastes time, resources, and forces the business to incur administrative expenses. And in the case for shoe leather costs, the extra time and physical effort for consumers to spend actively searching around for the lowest price when inflation changes the value of these goods on a daily basis in some cases. It wastes valuable time and physically wears out the leather of people's shoes. In the case for uncertainty, future business returns are entirely unpredictable. This creates massive uncertainty for firms trying to make long-term financial decisions. Suppliers cannot accurately predict what the price of materials would be in future years. In the case for consumer and business confidence, consumers' uncertainty is caused by inflation, which makes consumers deeply anxious, leading them to act cautiously, which reduces their spending. And businesses will lose their confidence during periods of very high inflation, and entrepreneurs in these businesses will be very reluctant to take additional risks. And lastly, investment. For future returns, inflation often directly causes a severe decline in corporate investment. And with the lack of business confidence regarding future prices, completely ensures that vital investment products are postponed or even cancelled. I hope that helped. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye-bye.